Hi, welcome back to the channel. I'm Michelle, and today I want to share some Native American resources we'll be using. November is Native American Heritage Month. Also with Thanksgiving, we're doing different Native American studies. I will link up above what we're specifically doing for Thanksgiving. But I had another order come in from the library of just books by Native authors or about Native themes. So I want to show you really quick what I got. So the first one I have is a graphic novel. It's called Rabbit Chase. And it is kind of loosely based on Alice in Wonderland, but from a Native American girl's perspective. So I'll show you inside really quick. I really like that it's got the translations here because the girl does use these words. But it kind of goes over how they're going on a field trip, and this girl is being bullied or picked on actually because of the pronouns she chooses to use, which I thought was really interesting that they included that as well. So they go on a field trip, and of course, the white rabbit, she spots the white rabbit and follows it and goes on this adventure. And it's just a really interesting way of bringing in some of the cultural beliefs. And I don't know about you, but my oldest loves graphic novels. Even my 6-year-old really enjoyed going through this book and looking in it. So it was just an interesting take on a story I think a lot of us are familiar with. So the next one is also a graphic novel. This one is called Trickster, Native American Tales, a graphic collection. So these are all the different stories that you will hear, and I really like that they pulled not only authors from Native tribes, but also the authors had to not only approve the final printing of the story, but each of them got to choose which artist they wanted to do to represent their story. So example, you can see the different stories have different art behind them, different styles of art. Some are more cartoonish, I would say. Some are more realistic. But each Native person got to choose the artist who portrayed their story. And it tells you all about this in the back, of course. It tells you about each specific where the story came from, so what person, what tribe they were affiliated with, the contributors section. So I thought that was really cool. So you're getting many voices in this. And again, graphic novels are always a good idea for older kids or kids who aren't that keen on reading. Next one is a lot of picture books. So this is Dreamcatcher, and this is, I believe, Ojibwe, yes. So this is the boy in it, and they talk about how this is where the babies are kept, and it's kind of the baby's journey through the day. And kind of what the baby does, and it goes over the significance of the dream catcher. So the tribe works, the family works, they go about their day, and then at the end, when baby goes to bed, they talk about the dream catcher, about how it holds the bad dreams at bay and how that's important to their culture, and I just thought it was really interesting. Next one is Go Show the World, a celebration of Indigenous heroes, and this one just goes over different, as it says, Indigenous heroes throughout history. So they talk about their ancestors here, Sacagawea, Jim Thorpe. So just really important people throughout history that we necessarily haven't heard about. So I thought that was interesting. Next is We All Play, and this is based on the Cree tribe, I believe. In the back it has a translation of, so this tells you where they got the story from, but it emphasizes just the importance of nature for Native Americans, and this would be the pronunciation guide, which I really appreciate because depending on the dialect and what tribe you're talking about, it would be pronounced differently. So I really appreciate it. But it just goes over, it's a simple book about nature and how animals play and people play as well. As you can see here. So it's just bringing in that connection of nature and people. Next one is Encounter. Now this is I guess you would call it historical fiction because it's based on an actual, here we go, 1534, an encounter. They have primary source documents talking about an encounter and how tribes, there was intermingling between the visitors and the tribes. So that is based on an actual event, but the story is in itself fictional and focuses on finding the common ground we have with people instead of focusing on the differences we have. So it's told from the perspective of animals. So a traveler comes, I believe a French explorer comes, and the animals tell the story of Fisher meeting this French explorer who is called Sailor, and just how they don't speak the same language, but they find common ground, and how they both laugh at kind of what the other one does because they find that although they're different, they are the same in many ways. And I just think this is when they talk about the different foods they eat, and neither one likes the other one's food. So it's just a really good story about talking about, although we're different, we have common ground. And again, it has the author's reasoning behind this, and then the historical note. So what is this actually based on, which I really appreciate. The next one is The People Shall Continue. And this goes over kind of just Native American tribes and their importance about how, although I really like this, how they have differences or sometimes battles within each tribe, that we must respect each other, animals, the plants, the land, the universe. We must learn from all nations. So although it goes in the beginning about how they have squabbles within them, their own tribal nations, something else came. Obviously, this is colonization came, and that changed things, and it changed how they were treated, and it changed their culture forever. And it goes over about how there was treaties made that weren't honored, and how their land was taken away from them, and how this was devastating because to them their land was everything. It held all of creation, everything they needed, and it was something taken from them. And it goes into how, although that happened, they still persevered. They're still here. It's still their land. And again, author's note, which I love when it has actual information of why the story or the historical note. The next one, again, is just more of a fun picture book, but this is The Good Luck Cat. And it just goes through the story of a cat having 9 lives and going through those. So this is the girl, and she's from a Native American tribe, and just how the cat has gone through its 9 lives already. And towards the end of the story, it talks about how the cat went missing, and she's afraid that all 9 lives have been used, but alas, the cat comes back. And that's where the story of the lucky cat comes from. Next one is Thunder Boy Jr. And this talks about how a boy, I really like how it talks about how in some Native American tribes you're not given a name until you're an adult or until you do a courageous act. So he was named after his dad, who was called Thunder, and they call him Little Thunder, and he doesn't like that, and he goes over how he wants a different name and all the different names that he could be called. He wants to be recognized, and there is Native American cultural tie-ins to this, which I really like. But it goes into how he comes to really enjoy his name, and his dad gives him the name of Lightning instead. So they're Thunder and Lightning, which I really like. The last one I'm going to share is Crazy Horse's Vision. And this, I think, is a really good retelling of the Crazy Horse. It doesn't go into necessarily the death of Crazy Horse, but the beginning to how he got his name Crazy Horse. Because in the beginning, he was called Curly because of his curly hair, and he was a small boy, but he was always a leader. People always followed him. He was the first to ride a wild horse in their village as a boy. I think it said he was 11 years old. when it happened, so Crazy Horse. And then he went on buffalo hunts when he was young, and then obviously we have colonization starts, and that changes things, how battles broke out, how misunderstandings happened, and how he, Crazy Horse himself, saw a lot of tragedy and witnessed a lot of terrible things. So he went on a vision quest to try to figure out what to do. And it goes over his vision quest and what he saw. And he saw that he was meant to be a leader for his tribe. And then in the end, that's kind of how it ends, that he was meant to be a leader. But in the end, in the illustrator's note and the author's note, it talks about the specific life of Crazy Horse and how he ended up dying and this situation surrounding that. So again, historical knowledge really brought in. But that goes over all the books we will be utilizing for Native American Heritage Month. If you have any questions, leave them down below. If not, thank you for watching.